Founder and Chief Executive of the diverse Australasian Women's Network. Good morning to you. Now, there's been a lot happening recently in terms of rallies. We had rallies yesterday in Melbourne, Reclaim Australia, and anti-racism protesters came quite ugly. We're expecting more rallies today, particularly the one in Mackay in Queensland, where we're expecting to hear from Liberal National Party MP George Christensen. This, of course, is causing some consternation among some circles as to the appropriateness of having a political figure address a rally of this nature.
Yes, look, I saw the kind of the violent sort of demonstration last night on in Melbourne on TV, and for me it's actually quite sad in terms of the anger and the aggression that's been displayed, I think by both sides, it's just not one. From my perspective, I think you, instead of just going out there, you can form a group called Reclaim, Genuine and Embracing Australia, perhaps, to reclaim Australia. But on the subject of an MP going up there to speak at a rally, look, I think, we live in a democratic society, so we have the right to speak, an MP to speak at any rally or at any events. I think Mr. Christensen, being a leader, elected leader of a community, is probably very much aware of the leadership role that he plays within a society. And I think the dialogue that he would present would be something that is going to educate and create a dialogue that will create an understanding in the community that he goes to represent. That's my hope.
I wonder if, having seen the images of violence yesterday, if he or his advisors might be rethinking, because whether he believes in what the Reclaim Australia people are saying or not, being associated with violence on the streets as a politician is a different thing altogether.
Look, if I was an elected member of Parliament, I would play a role in actually facilitating a very informed and educated dialogue to the community, because human beings out there, you get so easily sparked up get emotional over a simple issue. And I think the House of Parliament is a house of people, and people going in there being elected should actually play that role of leadership. And I think, do we have inspirational or inspiring leaders leading our country, and what role can they play to subdue this kind of aggression that we see in our society at the moment? Last night I was thinking, it reminded me so much of during the Hitler regime, where the Jews were targeted, and there were people weren't saying anything, and they were taken off to the gas chambers. I mean, we're stopping short of that, of identifying people, the Muslims, but I think we need to, of course, we need to speak out against any extremism, be it Islam or Christianity. So it shouldn't be just one particular group that's going to be targeted.
Is this something that Tony Abbott, Miriam, should intervene in? What role does the leader of a political party or a coalition have in this?
A leader should lead and should, bring together people to say that our society is an embracing society. And Australia is that. I mean, I'm from a refugee background. I came at the time when the Vietnamese refugees came here. There was all this anti-Asian sentiment out there, the fear of the yellow invasion. So Australians have this knack of getting really scared, and this fear mongering, especially in the media, plays to that as well. And then it subsides, and people like myself try to push through that mainstream and to say, look, we're contributing. We're not being, we're not different. Of course, we retain some of our cultural, traditions, but we want to be part of mainstream society. So I think as a leader, you need to see how diverse our community is and to bring some kind of sensible discussion to it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what George Christensen has to say when he does attend that rally this morning. Now, of course, we've also had a big focus this week on Bronwyn Bishop, travel entitlements, and more revelations this morning in terms of travel that she's done to Europe, for instance, spending $1,000 a day on limousines, according to some reports. This is not an issue that's going away anytime soon, I don't think.
No, it's not. I think parliamentarians, politicians forget that they are paid by the public. It's from the public purse, their salary, their allowances and all of that stuff. And from my perspective, I think we need to have a kind of a regular governance or self-awareness, personal development courses for parliamentarians, because I don't know if you walk through the halls of Canberra or even New South Wales Parliament, where once you get in there, you get so detached from what's happening out there in reality. So we need to actually bring, and especially those who've been there for such a long time, you get to cocoon to forget that what you're doing is actually possibly questioning, your own activities. So I think I propose a yearly annual mindfulness, a self-awareness course to say that, to bring it to bear that, look, you're getting $30,000-$60,000 in allowance, not considering the money that you get paid by the public, your salary, is that what do you do with that, and how do you become, make it apparent what you spend? And I think, traveling, spending, whatever, you need to actually make it clear to the public that this is where you spend your money.
I guess people would argue that $5,000 on a chopper and $1,000 a day on a fancy limo, you don't need, you shouldn't need counselling to explain that at least in terms of perception, might be a bad look.
But you do actually, because people forget. We do. You become part of the machine. You become part. So you go in there and you do forget. I mean, normal human beings will forget. The saying, you become part of the furniture. You literally become part of the furniture. So we have to be constantly aware. The whole unconscious bias, we'll come to that subject later, because we we instinctively we go onto automatic pilot. So I argue that you do need $5,000, $1,500 even. You need to be made aware.
Well, we're going to move on as well to something a little closer to home for us at the ABC this morning. We're talking, of course, about the Sunday Life magazine Inside the Sun Herald, which has a feature on the female ABC presenters, the new leaders, its labels. What do you make of
and executives.
And look, the executive producers just showed me the front page, and I said, wow, I never saw Lee Sales in that image, or Emma or Virginia, and I thought they looked very glamorous. I think, you will not get a glamorous shot of the men who are heading the ABC or any media for that matter. But I suppose it's an acknowledgement of the, if I can use the word sexiness, of the women that are fronting our news and current affairs program and leading the organisation. But if you look at that image if you look at the spread inside, I still see one image, and that is women of, Virginia and Alma of Italian Australian background, but it's still very much, I would say, a dominating image of Western looking. I think we need to move beyond gender and when a discussion about diversity in leadership. So for me, that's something that I would like us to move away from and look at how we can bring diversity of opinion, of ideas, of experiences to the screen and the faces as well. And I'd like to see more diverse looking faces of women rather than very Western kind of looking women there being set up, which is, I have to say, it's great to see that they're there. Let's take another step.
Well, maybe we will see that down the track. Diley, an absolute pleasure to have you with us this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Climate change.